Welcome to the Sempiternallilaexperience, where we have deeper conversations with musicians. I am here with Yves Barzilay, aka Clem Snide. I am creating this project as a way to find answers to deeper questions in life through the lens of music. And I have this theory that music is the most powerful art form. And I'm more drawn to underground and independent type of music.
Yeah, nice. I agree with all of it.
Yes. And I want to explore life's bigger questions with musicians such as yourself. So, first question. What is it about making music that drew you in, and at what stage of life did this happen?
I got into, I loved music as a kid, I think, for sure. And then when I was 12, I kind of fell in love with the guitar. I discovered like rock, like real rock, like Led Zeppelin, and AC/DC, and I was just so into the electric guitar. So started taking guitar lessons, and then I was kind of obsessed with the guitar, throughout high school. And I had a high school band, and we played like classic rock covers and stuff. But I was pretty committed from a young age, for sure. And then at some point in high school, I was kind of I wasn't a very good student. I barely made it through high school. But like when everyone was doing their SAT stuff and college prep, I remember one night, actually, I remember it very vividly, where I couldn't sleep, and I was just like paralyzed with whatever worry about my future, and just my mind was racing and whatever. I just had this, kind of intense, like sleepless night. And I just said to myself, just be a musician, and I remember just almost making like a promise to myself, like, and saying to myself, like, whatever, man, like, maybe you'll be poor, but who cares, and I remember and it was such like because I didn't do good in school, and I didn't want to go to college and do all that college prep stuff. But I did end up going to music. I ended up going to Berkeley College of Music. Like my guitar teacher helped me get in, because he was like, because I was studying, with him in high school, like jazz. I was kind of trying to be like a jazz guitarist. I didn't really know. I didn't know what I wanted to do musically necessarily. I just loved playing guitar, and I loved music. So then I went to Berkeley after high school, but I only went for like a year, and then I dropped out because it was just didn't feel right there at all. And then, I was like maybe 19 or 20 years old, and I just kind of stopped playing guitar, playing like electric and being like, all that kind of crap. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I just sold my electric guitars and just bought an acoustic guitar. Started trying to write songs and sing, which I hadn't done before,
Do you have a specific perspective on the value of music in life? Like what is music's place?
I can't imagine. Yeah, we can't imagine life without it. I think it. I heard someone say, music, like what music does is it like mirrors reality, or it mirrors the kind of the innate harmony of the universe. Music reflects that perfect kind of order that is the universe, that we don't, obviously we don't notice it because we're just in it, but like the way everything fits together so perfectly. And they're always saying how, like string theory, or it's all just sound or vibrations, like quantum, whatever. I don't know, qualified to speak about it too much. But there is a kind of parallel between, and also like the sort of mathematical perfection of the universe is also mirrored in music. So I think music, it's the clearest evidence of the kind of the, whatever your metaphysics are, whether it's like a divine, but it mirrors like the perfect kind of harmony of the universe. And I think that's why everybody just loves music, whatever, even like the most hardened like punk rocker is still reaching for that same like sort of divine harmony. Yeah, more so as I've gotten older too, and I've been through whatever the business sort of chewed up and spit out by it. And Clem Snide didn't, in terms of like music business, Clem Snide would be considered like a failed project.
Really?
In a way, in terms of just like Clem Snide never made any label, any money. And, you know,
Right.
people only ever lost money.
Right.
Clem Snide's a bad investment. But I mean, whatever.
It's
like,
such a beautiful creation.
well, thank you.
Yeah. Truly.
I've kept it. I've just kept it going. You know, kept it like alive. So maybe it found its value just in the fact that it continues.
So you tell such beautiful stories with your songs, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I love the storytelling. So how do you get into the creative space?
I'm not sure how. I don't necessarily have like some sort of method that or some, ritual necessarily. For a long time I had like a kind of movie playing in my mind, like I could just sort of see, it was almost like a parallel universe kind of thing where I would, like, it was me, but it wasn't me, and I would just see these like scenes in my mind, just like a kind of, like an amorphous scenes movie would just be, and it wasn't so much, it was more like, and then I'd be in the scene and I could sort of feel I could sort of infer like the story. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're at the bus stop or something and you're just like looking at people and you see some couple and they're like, they look like they're fighting or something, and you can you can just sort of, and you see how they're dressed, or, and you could, like, stuff like that. My mind just kind of fills in the blanks.
Like you'll get an idea when you're out and about, and then when you get home.
Yeah, I never really know what I'm doing, like, which I think is important, is that it's always a kind of leap of faith, where does any idea come from, like it's a song the songs that I've like the ones that have survived, I've written, I'd say, whatever, all these years now that I've been doing it, 2/3 of the songs I've written I've just abandoned, it's like,
okay,
not all of them.
And you've got a lot of music out. So.
I do. Well, it's been like 25 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, so the ones that survived are the ones that kind of surprised me, the ones that that kind of revealed themselves to me. But if I'm like, if I have some, like if I go into it with some sort of specific intention and then I kind of, try to force it. I mean, it's good to try and force it sometimes too, just to, even if you know that it's going to end up with something that you're probably going to ditch. Yeah. Sometimes I'll have a song there'll be like one thing about it that I just remember. It's not even so much I like it or not like it. It's just certain things just keep, they persist, or they kind of,
oh, sure.
Like a good idea. Like if you have a good idea, you won't forget it.
Right.
I think. Even if you think you've forgotten it, it'll just reappear at some point. I'm very kind of laissez-faire with it. I don't.
It just happens.
I just, I don't know. And then every couple 2 to 3 years, I usually have enough songs that I can try and make a record somehow, or something. Mm-hmm. Like usually every few years I'll just have some songs. There's been there's been a few years where I had a bunch of songs and I never even really recorded them, and then I just kind of forgot them, and so I forget a lot of, like, I let a lot of it just go.
I remember many years ago I had your album Hungry Bird. I was like this week I was re-listening to everything. After having kids, I kind of went in this like hole and didn't listen to music very much because I was just so focused on them. But now more and more. And so it was really fun listening to that album again because I was like, oh yeah, that was like a long time ago. Where did the name Clem Snide come from? Yes.
Well, it's not such a great story, but it's a character. It's like a William Burroughs character that he has in a couple of his books. And we came up with the name when we were really young, when we first started in Boston, and we were listening to like this William Burroughs tape, and he would, Clem Snide. He goes, the name's Clem Snide. I'm a private asshole. And it's like, hold on. So it was like this joke. I don't know. It was at one point it was like kind of like a whatever. Yeah, we would just do our William Burroughs impression. So we would do that line. And then, so, yeah, it came time to name the band, and we just called it Clem Snide. And didn't think too much about it. And then somehow the name just stuck, all these years, 30 years later. And so, yeah, so now I don't feel whatever. Yeah, like when people ask me about it, I wasn't trying to make some statement. Right. It just worked
out. Asking for a friend.
Sure.
Yeah. Do you ever feel vulnerable sharing your creative works? And if so, how do you get over it?
But do I feel vulnerable? Not so much anymore. I mean, and back in the day, if I read we got some, I remember a couple of those Pitchfork reviews were especially dismissive, and that's definitely if anything, it just makes me kind of pissed off and fuck you, Yeah. But I don't that's the thing is I feel more the music just I try not to claim what I do too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just try and be the thing that expresses it.
I like that. Yeah.
Because if I try to really be my music, this is, you don't like it, you know what I'm saying? If there's if I wrap it in all that sort of ego, then it. I mean, yeah, but when people don't like it, it's it can be painful. But at this point, I think I feel like I've kind of transcended.
Yeah.
Especially more so than ever in the last couple of years. I was really man, I just don't even give a shit anymore. I don't even know if it's good or not. I don't even care if it's good or not. I don't even know what it means. Because shit that people think is good, I'm I don't like that. I don't even. So yeah, so I just try and put as much of just try and put as much of my sincere kind of love into it. I think if you're really honest and sincere, if you're doing it, you're not. If you're doing if you're making art because you want attention or you want fame or whatever, you just want status.
Right.
If that's your deep sort of motive behind it, then you're destined to fail. I think
it's like karma yoga. Have you heard that term?
Karma yoga. Yeah. It. That's
kills the creative energy when the intentions are
right. When you're doing it it's you can either do it. You're kind of doing it out of fear, and you have to do it out of love.
Right.
It's one or the other. That's what I realize. Everything is kind of a choice between fear and love. Yeah. And if you're doing it out of fear, because you're oh, my career, what if I don't, what if this record doesn't make it? Oh, what if this gig doesn't go well? I went through that for so many years. There was so much you got this gig. There's somebody from a label there, waiting for some label to be really like you, and to get that good review. And so if anything, maybe I've succeeded insofar as I don't care.
That's got to be a relief. Anymore. Yeah.
Because it doesn't, the success that I've had has been so, it's been so kind of unexpected. It hasn't been in the way that you sort of think that it should look. It's been very I did a cover of some Cat Stevens song, offhandedly on my laptop in some hotel 10, 12 years ago. Just, I got some email or some ad agency, we're looking for covers of this. So I just, here's mine. Mm-hmm. Never heard back, whatever, and then 8 years later, I get an email and they're using it for some Airbnb ad.
Oh, wow.
What? How did they even get it? I've whatever success in terms of just making money, getting paid, obviously. So it's been from stuff like that. But then I'll spend months, making a record and recording it and all this effort and touring behind it, and it doesn't make any money. Right. So it's the stuff that I just tossed off. You see what I'm saying?
That's happened to me. You forget about it, and then
So if anything, that's reinforced my conviction that it's beyond my control. Right. I can't make any of that kind of shit happen.
Yeah, just relax and let go. Just make your creative works and create for the sake of creating.
Yeah, if you do it for the sake of it. All right, here, I'll give you my most profound insight is if you make your offering to God, if you make it a sincere offering, you offer the best that you have, and and you make it for like all the right reasons, as much as you can muster. Then God does, he does like smile down upon you, in ways that you maybe not expect or whatever, but definitely there's some kind of, I believe that.
I have to say, Eve, this, having you here chatting with me kind of fits what you just described.
Yeah.
Because I feel you are a very talented musician and you are known, okay? And I've had this idea for this channel for a while, wanting to just have deeper conversation through the lens of music.
Yeah.
And then this serendipitously just happened. So, yeah.
No, I love it. I love being a part of, yeah. And things like that, for sure. In a way that mirrors kind of what music and art are in a way, when things just connect and line up in ways that are like beyond your control,
Do you have an interest in the metaphysical? I think the answer is yes, but if you do, could you explain like what that means to you and where that interest came from?
Yeah, sure. I've always been, even as a kid. I mean, I'm just a curious person. I don't know. I assume everybody, maybe some people more than others, just wonder about, the nature of life.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know. For me, I was born in Israel, and I was raised. My grandparents were like Holocaust survivors, and they rejected God. They were like a lot of Israelis are like that. They're very secular, anti, not even just like secular, like almost anti-God. And so they were like of that sort of ilk. And so my parents, anyway, so we grew up very, kind of Jewish in a way, but very atheist, very kind of godless. Both my parents are atheists, I think.
Oh wow!
And I don't know, that just never sat well with me. But I have no religious inclinations. So I mean, I think in a way, like music is is my gateway into whatever, into that kind of space. But I had kind of like a midlife crisis maybe 12 years ago when I turned 40, and like my life sort of bottomed out, and I lost my house, and and I just did not know what to do, just things were looking real bleak. And I don't know. I mean, things were whatever. I had good years, and then I'd have some bad years. It wasn't, but there was definitely a point, like right around 2011, when it got really dire for me, and so something just kind of snapped, and I just started, just watching like YouTube videos of spiritual talks, and I mean, I'd always been interested in like Eastern stuff and Krishnamurti and books on Buddhism, but I never, or even Christianity, I never really understood it, Yeah. But then something definitely, something happened to me, and I think I started kind of reconfigured my sense of myself, and I realized that like I can't live in a world, like I can't live without God in a way, or I can't live in a world where we suffer in vain. Like I can't accept that we suffer in vain. I just can't accept it.
Yeah.
I don't accept it. And I think that has a lot to do with, that's what believing in God sort of means, I think. If you don't believe in God, then you believe that all this like suffering is just for nothing. Like I can't accept that.
The term, so the sempiternal lila, that is meaningful to me because, so like for a long time, knowing that there's suffering in the world and knowing the degree of the suffering was really, really, really hard for me to deal with. And through my spiritual process, thinking of it as, so like Lila, God is playing with form on a cycle, on repeat, just it's God playing with form. And so for me, that softened the blow of knowing about the suffering in the world.
It's a bit like recovery, I love that sort of 12 steps stuff. I resonate with that. Just the idea of like surrendering, and I think my failure kind of humbled me. I think I found my way towards God, just kind of in the humbling of failure. I thought I was doing the right thing, and I'm not, and I'm failing at it. Like, well, it was like kind of like Abraham being asked to sacrifice Isaac. Like I read that book. That's a good sound. If you're sort of about that, that conflict. It's like you want to honor God, but then you also want to protect your family in a broad existential sense. That's kind of the conflict that I was in, because I had a family to support, but I had to do music, and then so it was like one or the other at some point. But then right when things were looking super bleak, like something would always come. That's the thing. It was kind of amazing. Like it's been happening for 10 years now, enough that I'm convinced that that this is all just some kind of movie, like that I've, like the way it unfolds. I'm like, it's
all an elaborate.
It's all seriously like that. Yeah, that song.
I actually tear up when I hear that song.
That song that I read. Yeah, I read that from that interview with his wife, and I was like, wow. I love any kind of near-death stuff. I love the idea of.
It's so funny you say that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I fully agree with you. Continue, because I really am interested in that too.
I'm sure you've watched all those like YouTube.
So many
stories.
Like all of them. I'll go. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why I'm not. It's not that I'm necessarily eager to leave this world, but I just love the idea that this reality is just so, it's infinite. I think we tend to, like my metaphor is like a lot of people I think are like looking at reality, but they're looking in the telescope like the wrong end. So everything looks really really small and tiny, and that's like if you at some point if you flip the telescope and you're like, oh shit, you get a sense of just the kind of the vastness of it.
Yeah.
And you're humbled before it, and that's it's a nice feeling.
Yeah. It seems like it would be such a bleak crapshoot of experience if this were it, like it's just this experience.
Yeah, no, it doesn't, because the fact that people just die so people die like taking a selfie of in some park, and they tumble down and they die. like if like life, like for life to mean anything, death has to be kind of meaningless too in that way.
That leads me to the question: what do you think the purpose of living is? And because like you said, I'm totally into the NDE experience accounts, and so like you'll hear them talk, they come back from the other side, and
the general, like the gist of it is, obviously it's, I don't think, the ultimate purpose, it seems like it has to do with just like just experience, just experiencing, it's okay. This is a nice way to think about it. This will tie it back to music.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Every song, what is every song? The structure of every song, for the most part, Western, is you return back home. You know what I'm saying? You return back to the place you started. You start at the one, right? The C, you're at the one chord, and then you go like up here, and you build up some tension, and then you release the tension. So it's like you go on a kind of journey, and then you always return back home. So I think in a way, life is kind of like a song. Like you go on your little journey, and then you return back to home, but you've made this music, like you've imprinted this pattern into the fabric of like time and space, and that's what your life. And in every life, even if it's like the shittiest life, is still like entirely and uniquely your own life. Like no one has ever and will never live that exact life and have that experience. And then and that's like kind of a miracle, there's like a miraculous kind of
beauty to it. Yeah.
But I mean, if I was like sitting in a concentration camp right now, I'd probably feel like less, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm always, I try not to be sort of too flip about the sorrows of this life. I mean, it's.
Are you familiar with Viktor Frankl?
Oh yeah, I read Man's Search for Meaning. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that book is really good.
What is love ultimately? What does that mean to you?
What's is love?
Definition?
Baby, don't hurt me. Well, that's a big question. All right, I like once I heard someone break it down once, I thought it was very instructive. Is that there's three kinds of love, right? There's erotic love, which isn't necessarily just sexual, but it's just like loving something. Like, yeah, you love someone, you want to like consume them. You love a piece of cake, you know, that's like real love.
Yeah.
That's erotic love. It's like the love of something you want to just consume. You want to just take it, and that's like the lowest kind of love. Then there's a filial, like Philadelphia. That's like brotherly love, you know. That'd be like the next step, and then there's agapic, right? That's like agape. That's the kind of love that like a parent has for a child, which is like pure, you know, selfless kind of love. So, so it's interesting to think that there's three different sort of expressions of it, which I think is a nice way to think about it. But you know, it's one of those words. It's like God, you know. It's expected to like encapsulate so much.
It's like loaded, and there's different variations. It means different things to different people. Yeah.
Even when people say like, "Do you believe in God?" Like that sort of conversation. It's like, well, yeah, but what do you mean by believe?
Right.
What do you mean by
Is
God?
This a concept?
I mean, I love the idea that you know, like all those near-death stories, like love is the sort of glue that just holds like all of reality together, you know, that it is, that God is love, and that, and then when you die, you just return back to this kind of infinite love that's like outside of space and time, and that's real nice to think that might be the case, and it feels, I mean, you think about like everything that exists in reality. I mean, it's like a flower is made with love. You know what I'm saying? It's like natural, like nature. Yeah, it's just nature is never nature. Like we look at a flower and go, oh, that one petal is wrong. You know, like it's always just perfect, just as it is, because it's just like a natural expression.
I define it as like as our connectedness as beings, the connectedness of all that is.
Everything, that's a nice way to say it, right? So that's
an experience in the now, outside of concepts.
I mean, obviously a big part of, like it's no mistake that a big part of life is how you connect with other people, you know, like that you can't escape love in that sense, you know, like you could be like a very, there's exceptions, you know, some people want to go live off the grid by themselves, but you know what I'm saying? Like in general, we're all compelled to make relationships and to.
Yeah, even when we don't want to, like.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of what pain is sort of separation, right?
Yeah.
Oh God, sorry.
That's good.
Chilly.
Are you getting cold?
No. I got chili inside of me.
Oh, chili, the chili.
That chili.
Gotcha.
That kind of
like
chili.
the kind you eat. So, yeah. The Ballad of God's Love. I was listening to that today. The emptiness you feel inside, that's where God's love hides.
Yeah. I don't remember where I got that line from. I heard that somewhere. I like that line. You know.
What is your take on spirituality? Or if you could sum it up.
Yeah, you know, I don't. I like to keep it kind of undefined for myself. You know, it's. I don't want it to become like a lifestyle or something that I use to whatever that image I want to project out into the world. I don't. Yeah, like it feels kind of almost private. Like there's some line where like you shouldn't pray in public. I think like like I like to talk about it with people. You know, some people like to get into it for sure, and I'm always open to talk about it. I'm not even sure what I'm trying to say. I don't like that word particularly.
It can get trendy and
right. It can get in that sort of Gwyneth Paltrow type of spirituality, that's very kind of bougie, sort of, upper
like
wealthy white ladies going to retreats and stuff. The spiritual ego. But then I don't have anywhere to put it. I guess because I understand I appreciate the value of being religious and just having some religious tradition to kind of upload into your sort of process. I don't have, but I don't, I just go like I'm Golden Corral with that shit. I just buffet, whatever. I'll read some like Meister Eckhart, or I'll just try and read some Buddhist, but I don't, and I don't even, I'm not like poring over some ancient texts and I'm not trying to be like academic or even intellectual about it. It's more, like it's more just like having moments, having just as many just pure moments as I can. Which is nice to be on the road, because the road definitely facilitates those kind of, just those moments, those present moments when you just feel, the vastness of it. And then a lot of times, I'll be driving and I'll just catch a glimpse of like whatever, just some little lake behind some trees, and then the light will hit it, and it'll just be this moment of just beauty, or just people at the diner,
It's never in some story in our mind.
Exactly. If anything, I would say spirituality to me is just trying to be as much, just present to everything that's around me, and just feel kind of, just, some, like a reverence, like a kind of a reverie, just to feel just the aliveness of everything,
Yeah.
And then I write songs, so I feel like that's all I need to do.
So how do you, and if you want to pass on this question, you're totally allowed. How do you feel?
One pass.
Yeah, one pass. That's it.
Can I phone a friend?
How about religion? How do you feel about religion?
Yeah, like I said, I don't. I was raised by godless Jews. I don't like. I have no, like all that Jewy stuff. I have no, like emotional attachment to it. Whatever, we can light the menorah or not. I don't really care. So I don't have, my parents. We weren't very religious, so I don't have a religion. And then I like Christianity a lot. Like I read about Christianity, and I like Jesus. I'm on board with Jesus, but I don't want to. I can't become a Christian. You know what I'm saying? So I have a very like I was saying, Golden Corral. I just buffet and shit. But I like I was in Egypt, at the beginning of the year. Egypt's not that great.
Okay.
But it was exciting. It was an adventure. But then, you're in Egypt, and wherever you are, throughout the day, like 5 times a day, they have like the call to prayer. So everywhere, like whatever city you're in, little town, there's like some big loudspeaker somewhere and it's really loud, and it's like kind of distorted. And then 5 times a day, someone just gets up there and sings, they do that sort of, and it's so beautiful, and I was like, man, and then everybody stops, not that I'm eager to convert to Islam, but they seemed more, they were like in the day-to-day kind of way that they were really
taking a moment. Do you have faith in humanity overall? Like the trajectory, maybe there's multiple timelines, right? Maybe there's different dimensions. Maybe we're shifting all the time. The current trajectory we're on, do you have faith in our future?
Yeah, I think it always seems like the end of the world. Like it's always like the apocalypse is always like just a few years away. It's always 10 years away.
Y2K
right. It's always something. And someone was talking about it, and I thought made an interesting point that like in some sense everybody's life does end in apocalyptically.
Yeah.
So like the fear of the apocalypse is almost like a collective just fear of death, that we just make, this, and we all have that fear because we're all afraid of dying. So even
that's so interesting.
I mean, think about whatever. Yeah, like my grandfather watched his father just get beaten to death before his eyes when he was like 12, and then he, but he went on to live a full life, and he was like a sweet old granddad there in his little shop. But that's what he. You know what I'm saying? So that's, think about like that, right? And then whatever, like what we're going through, people go through all kinds of like insane shit, and then, but this life just kind of carries on. So, maybe the dollar will collapse, and then there'll be some, whatever, there won't be any gas at the gas station, or there'll be roving gangs in the. I mean, I hope not. I hope not. But it doesn't seem like that will happen. So yeah. So in some ways, I'm not apocalyptic. Like I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid at all. Yeah. I think people are. Um, Yeah, like I think it's just going to keep on going. It just keeps on going. And I feel like also, yeah, right now we're definitely kind of at the end of something. It feels like we're on the verge of some new era.
Are you familiar with tarot at all?
The tarot cards. I mean,
like the Tower card is like crumbling to make way for new.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a theory. I read this book. I'm like it made a lot of sense to me, but it's not necessarily that. It's like disputed, but it's called. These two guys wrote this book in the '90s called "The Fourth Turning," and they like historian, whatever, political scientist type dudes. They figured out this like pattern in history. The history basically goes through these similar patterns, right? Like 80 to 100 year cycles called saeculums that are comparable to like the four seasons. And then, so yeah, there's like, they call them turnings. First turning, and then the first one is, anyway, so they're saying that the saeculum we're in now, it started, like after World War II. Like World War II was the end of the last one, right? All the shit that happened. So then you have so the first one's like spring, everything's new, and like the spirit of the zeitgeist is everyone is, and that's what America was like. And then there's then the next one is, awakening, so then you have like the Cultural Revolution and the 60s and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then by the time it's like gets into the 80s, it starts getting in like the autumn, Anyway, so now we're like right in the thick of the fourth turning right now, and so
like winter.
Yeah, we're basically at the end of this cycle.
It's the end, yeah.
And yeah, that's what I love about the theory. That's like, wow, that means there's going to be like this new spring, this new saeculum that starts up in, I don't know, 5-10 years. Hopefully there doesn't have to be some cataclysmic thing beforehand. But I mean, it seems like, like COVID and 9/11, whatever, all that shit. But yeah, so right now, I think we're living, as much as you want to take that theory to heart. Oh, it's also interesting because he says how like the different, like generations, like if you were, like a kid during the first turning, or if you were like in your 40s during the first turning, so like your stage in life also corresponds with what turning it is, and then that kind of shapes you in this like archetypal way.
Cycles within cycles, kind of.
Right. It's the larger point is that I've drawn to this idea just because, yeah, it's nice to think of history more as like this cyclical thing, as opposed to just this like, yeah, like I think sometimes it feels like it's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse, and it doesn't. It always comes back around. So
this question is kind of weird, but I'm totally gonna just put it out there.
Do it.
Okay. So, and like I'm gonna bring up, I heard Rick Rubin in an interview talking about the way that he finds good music is through a feeling space.
Yeah.
Like the way he sorts through. And there is this feeling that I get from certain music that's hard to describe. It's like what defines whether that's good music for me or not.
Yeah.
It's okay. I get it from listening to many of your songs. It's a deep inner emotion that I have a hard time describing. It's almost like it's an emotion for me, like that I'm still trying to work it out. I'm trying to figure out what the feeling is. How to describe it. Yeah. The emotional vocabulary for it. Do you know this feeling?
Yeah, that's the feeling of that's God's love that you're feeling. That's the feeling of your eternal nature. I think you're getting like a intimation of it. I mean, yeah, that's those feelings. Yeah, it's fun. I'm just listening right now to I'm listening to some book on tape right now. He's talking about just that feeling that you get.
Yeah.
And yeah, the different moments in life, or the different things that can like evoke that feeling. Mm-hmm. And it is. It's just a feeling. It's like a vague, like almost like a homesick kind of feeling where you just remember that your home is somewhere just far away, but you know that you'll get back there someday. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of like a homesick. It's like a bittersweet home. It's like, yeah, me and my wife talk about it, how there's that kind of homesick feeling,
Yeah.
just that.
I wouldn't say that at this point I feel apologetic about like when you have like in your day-to-day life and spirituality comes up. For a long time I did feel almost like apologetic when it, like bringing up spirituality and just like normal conversations in day-to-day life. And
Yeah, I get that sense of most people most people don't necessarily want to talk about it, or most people don't know what to say or even how to express. Yeah, like a lot of the people that are close to me are not, necessarily spiritual. They don't, and I don't necessarily, I'm not necessarily looking for spiritual people. I mean, like I had my one spirit buddy is Scott Avett. Like that was what we really kind of bonded on, because he also is very similar. He's like searching.
okay.
It's like I think some people are just like more searching than others. You know. And I think it has to do with being an artist. I think I think that the two kind of go hand in hand for me, because you're an artist. You're always like you're just looking. You're searching for like inspiration. You're just looking like, where's the source of that.
Yeah.
And so I'm very like I'm always like searching for it. I need I need it. I need them. That's what I'm looking for. So that I think that is it ends up being kind of spiritual, just like by default.
I'm the same way. Like it's something that's been there since I was a kid. Just the seeking, asking the bigger questions, and.
Well, were you raised Mormon? Is that you said your grandmother was Mormon?
Well, my mom's side is Mormon. So my mom was raised Mormon. My aunt Dana. So 5 girls, 5 boys. 4 of the 5 boys stayed LDS, and all 5 girls left the religion.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah, they did not have a good experience with it. So when I was growing up, I would say we were more an agnostic household.
Okay, yeah.
It seems like some people are like really trying to figure it out, and some people are just not interested.
Yeah. I mean, some people don't, in a way, yeah, like I did, I was doing interviews too I did a little podcast during the COVID, but I was just getting people to tell me their stories. And I had one guy that I talked to his story was, recovery. He was like an alcoholic. Okay. And I've heard a lot of people in recovery say this just from they're grateful for their, what I'm saying? They're grateful for the addiction, because like it forced them to, you know what I'm saying? Like some people are just, like I have a song now I'm working on that when when life kind of brings you to your knees, like there's not much else you can do but pray, so.
Just surrender.
But I think some people like life like doesn't bring them to their knees, or they're either,
right.
They're able to avoid it, like they're successful enough and they keep their shit together well enough that they never really, they're never sort of humbled, and so they don't need, they don't like need it, I guess. Maybe some people just need it more, just like they just can't.
It's when things get harder and harder and your experience gets harder and harder that I think that makes you more inclined toward that kind of seeking.
I mean, that's what it was like for me. Like I had to just to find that kind of peace with myself, more than anything. I think if you're sort of conflicted with yourself, then that has to be resolved somehow. Like addiction is just you feel uncomfortable inside of yourself for some reason, and so you try to sort of numb that discomfort. Yeah. But you can't. You have to be comfortable with yourself. Like you know what I'm saying. I think that's
I struggled with alcohol for a long time. For me, it was wanting to just like cover up uncomfortable feelings.
Yeah. I mean, just. I was very, I was like uncomfortable inside of myself for a long time. I had a stomach ache in my 20s for like 9 years. It was all just, like tension, like inside of myself. Everybody, when I meet people now, I tell them, or people that I'm close to, whatever, I would recommend just breathing. Just like deep breathing or cold showers, or just finding ways to really kind of like relax yourself into
a toolbox at your disposal.
Right. I mean, I think if you like, their joy is right there waiting for you. There's a kind of baseline joy that is just there for you if you want it. Like that's that song I did tonight. That was, Prison Door. was unlocked all along. You know,
Right,
like
right.
your inner warden. You know, pray your inner warden's not a bitter man.
Do you have any projects or channels that you would like to share with the viewers that you're working on, or just want to share?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of Clem Snide stuff on Spotify that anyone can listen to, but yeah, I made, like I was mentioning it briefly before, that I started doing this thing during COVID where I invited people to tell me their stories. Mm-hmm. I did it over the computer, you know, okay. Interview them on Zencast or whatever, and then I'd edit down their story. I'd take myself out and I'd just have them, and I'd score it, you know. So I put because I like doing that kind of stuff.
Neat.
So, like sound design, you know. And then I write them a song. So you hear them tell their story. It's like 10 minutes, and then you hear the song at the end. I made 12 episodes. It's called A Life in Song with Clem Snide. Okay. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I had fun doing it. You know, it's out there. It's yeah, you know, that's what. I guess if I could plug something, it'd be that. But I'm working on a new record right now.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I can't express my gratitude that you were willing to sit down with me and talk to me. I really appreciate that.
Well, really, it's my pleasure. You're more than welcome. I like what you're doing. I think it's a good idea. And I appreciate it, actually, because, yeah, a lot of times people want to do interviews and they just want to talk about, you know, whatever, like musical, you know, specific kind of
nuts and bolts.
Like, we're going to talk about something. That's what we're talking about. This, you know.
Yeah. What's the freaking meaning of life?
You know, that's good stuff to talk about.
Thank you so much for watching the Sempiternal Lila Experience. Please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more interviews.